Today, we have a head-to-head matchup, Claude 3.5 Sonnet with GPT-4o. A lot of people are saying that Claude beats GPT in every way, and today we're going to put them up to the test in 5 different categories to see which comes out on top. This will be totally unbiased. I subscribe to both, and I think you're going to find this very, very enlightening. The results surprised me a lot. Let's jump right in. All right, so the first category we're going to get into is coding. Now, coding is a huge, huge thing that people are using AI for. I use it a bunch. My developers use it a bunch. So it's definitely a massive use case. So we're going to start with Claude. We're going to ask it to build us a simple chess game using JavaScript, and let's see what it can do. All right, so Claude is done. Let's see if this chess game works. So one of the really cool things Claude does is it has this artifacts feature where it shows you what it coded directly in the browser. So you can just check out exactly if it works in the browser without having to take the code, put it in an editor, launch it in your own browser, run stuff locally, or put it on a server. So this saves a ton of time and money. So let's see if it works. Looks like it works. Runs in the game, perfectly working. Chess pieces look cool. Now let's try this in ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. Okay, so ChatGPT is done, but because it doesn't have that artifact feature that Claude does, I'm gonna have to take these files and I'm gonna put them in my browser using a website called JS Fiddle, and I'm gonna try to run all this code and see if it works. All right, so I put it in JS Fiddle, I hit the run button, and let's test it out. And I can already tell you it's not working. This piece should not be able to jump all the way to this part of the blackboard and eat that pawn. So it did not get the mechanics right, and now the pieces are disappearing. So I'm going to give this one to Claude. It did a much better job, and I could see the code executed directly in the browser. So for now, I think Claude is the king of AI coding. Let's move on to the next category. All right, so in this category, we're going to try some content creation. So a lot of people use AI to write content, whether that's blog posts, social media posts, whatever it may be. So I'm going to start with an AI SEO-based blog post. So I'm going to have this AI write me a blog post based on a topic. I'm going to have it be SEO optimized. I'm going to ask it for all the tags needed to make this SEO optimized. And let's see what Claude can do. All right, so Claude is done writing the article. Let's see how it looks. So I asked it to write an article on dog walking. The article looks pretty good, gives some reasons why it's important, some tips on how to walk your dog, to plan your route, et cetera, et cetera. So let's put this in so I asked it for a 500-word article. Let's put this in a word count tool. Let's see if it produced a 500-word article. This article is 469 words, so a little short of the mark. Now let's download this and let's see if it actually created an article that has SEO tags. So I downloaded the article. There's no SEO tags. So in my opinion, it did a decent job, not great. The article is a little short of 500 words. It doesn't have the SEO tags needed. Let's run this in ChatGPT and see what it does. So the ChatGPT article is ready. Let's check it out. I gave it the exact same instructions. And let's review the article: benefits of dog walking, physical health, mental stimulation, socialization, strengthening the bond. Gives you tips on using the right equipment. So it has a similar format, some background, some tips, did a lot of the same things. Consistent routine, good etiquette, pick up your dog poop, best practices. So this is pretty good. I actually think the content's a little bit better from GPT, but let's see how long the article is. Let's see if it followed instructions. This article is actually 706 words, so it actually produced a longer article for us. So in SEO, I'd rather have it be a longer article than a shorter article, so I think it actually did a better job here. Now, I'm going to run both of them through an AI content detector, and I'm going to see if it can pick up whether these are AI written or not. So the ChatGPT article came out 100% AI written. As expected. Let's try Claude. Let's see how that comes out. So both articles were flagged as 100% AI detected, so not great, but sort of what I expected. So I'm gonna give this round to ChatGPT. I think it wrote a better article. It wrote a longer article. Neither was SEO optimized properly. So you're gonna have to use a different tool for that. Something like Postcheetah would do a great job of that. But I'm gonna give this round to ChatGPT. Let's move on to the next round. All right, so the next category we're gonna get into is data research. We're gonna see how good of a job Claude and ChatGPT do when I upload an image or a PDF at extracting information from that image and from that PDF. So I'm gonna start with an X-ray and I'm gonna ask Claude to give me a diagnosis from what it sees in this X-ray. All right, so Claude did its diagnosis. Let's see what it came up with. So I know that this is S-curve scoliosis. I know that because I downloaded it from Google and that was the diagnosis I found. So it's saying that there's a few key observations. It's finding spinal curvature in the thoracic region. So an S-shaped curve characteristic of scoliosis. So pretty good. Rib cage appears asymmetrical with the right side seeming more elevated than the left. They're showing bone density, lung fields, heart size, etc. So their observations and their diagnosis is basically saying this is adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. So again, we know that this is S-curve scoliosis because that's what I downloaded from Google and that's what I know it was. But it's saying this is an adolescent and it's idiopathic. So it's a little bit different, but it definitely got very close. Now let's try the same thing in ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. All right, so ChatGPT just finished. It gave us a little less detail, but it came up with a very similar conclusion. It's saying that there's an S-shaped curve in the spine, indicative of scoliosis. It's forming an S shape in both the thoracic and lumbar regions, and giving the appearance and severity, it is likely idiopathic scoliosis, which is most commonly found in adolescents. So it gave us a very, very similar diagnosis with a little bit less detail. Now let's try something similar with a PDF. So I found a research study on social media and its effect on mental health. So I'm gonna upload that to Claude first, and I'm gonna ask it to find some key findings and observations from this PDF, and let's see what it comes up with. All right, so Claude is done reviewing and analyzing the research paper. Let's see what it found. So it gave us a few key points here. It found that this is examining 16 studies, the relationship between social media and mental health, focusing primarily on anxiety and depression. It found some association between social media use and mental health issues. Some key risk factors include time spent, type of social media, and addiction to social media. Talks about passive use. Talks about some gender differences and other factors like interpersonal trust, family function, things like that. The key observations are there's more existing research correlation rather than establishing causal relationships. There's a lack of longitudinal studies. More research is needed. So the relationship between social media and mental health is complex and likely influenced by many variables. There may be both positive and negative mental health effects. So I read this study and I didn't find these exact observations and conclusions. It's something similar. So it did a decent job. Now let's see how ChatGPT does analyzing the same research paper. All right, so ChatGPT just finished its analysis and let's see what it came up with. So right off the bat, it did a much more comprehensive job analyzing the PDF. It's giving you title, authors, published date, objective, research strategy, key findings. So anxiety and depression, it's associated with both. Key factors include time spent, a lot of the same stuff, but in a much better format. Gender differences. They did note a lot that females are much more likely to have mental health issues with social media use, age factor. And the adolescents and young adults seem to have more frequency. There are some positive impacts as well. Some conflicting results in there also. It's admitting some limitations. It's coming up with some conclusions. So there's definitely evidence suggesting that it can impact mental health, anxiety and depression, et cetera, and some recommendations for future research. So I think ChatGPT actually did a much better job here. So I think it did a better job analyzing the X-ray image and a much better job analyzing this research paper. So I'm gonna give this round to ChatGPT. Claude did okay, but this one definitely goes to ChatGPT. All right, so in this next category, we're gonna focus on data visualization. So how good of a job will the AI do at visualizing the data that I upload into the system? So we're gonna use that same research paper studying the effects of social media use on mental health. And I wanted to come up with some charts, some infographics, and some really cool visual stuff that I can use to analyze the data. So if I was presenting this as a homework assignment or to a group of people that I'm showing this research paper to, I don't want to just show them a block of text. I want to show them some really interesting charts and graphs and things like that. So I'm going to upload that same PDF and let's see how we can visualize this data. All right, so Claude is done. Let's see what it came up with. So again, it's using that artifacts feature, which shows you what it comes up with right here on the right-hand side, which I think is really, really cool. And so it gave us our key findings again. Let's see what kind of graphs it gave us. So the gender distribution on social media platforms, it's showing female to male. So this is actually really cool. You can see that females dominate most social media other than Snapchat. And it's showing also a chart on mental health factors, which, to be honest, is not very useful. I don't see how the way it's presenting this chart. So I think this should have been like a line graph or something showing like time spent versus, how much that has an effect on mental health. So as you spend more time on social media, it has a bigger effect on your mental health. And a pie chart doesn't make sense for this graph. So I actually don't think it did a great job visualizing this data. This bar chart is fine, but this one doesn't really make sense. And it really only gave us 2 graphs here. So I'm not really impressed here. Let's see what ChatGPT can do with the same task of visualizing this data. All right, so ChatGPT just finished. Let's see what it came up with. Now, it gave us the key points again. It produced an infographic that is really not usable at all. The words don't really make sense. So this infographic is totally useless and not going to work for us at all. So I basically came in and said, I asked it to create some interactive charts and graphs. So when I saw this, I said, this isn't going to work. So I said, please provide me some interactive charts and graphs. And it came up with some additional stuff here. So it created a chart and it created this gender distribution chart. So these are HTML files. So you have to download the files and open the files. So you can see it gave us a bar chart very similar to what Claude gave us. It gave us a mental negative impact study here in a pie chart, depression and anxiety, just showing like the percentages there. And it gave us one more here on the Prisma flow chart. So let's take a look at this one. So this is kind of interesting, how many studies they identified, how many they screened, and how many actually included. So kind of interesting. So I'm going to say that neither of them did an amazing job here, but I'm actually going to give this one to Claude just because it did a more concise job. I didn't have to download HTML files. I didn't have to deal with this useless infographic that it gave us right off the bat here. So I'm going to give this round to Claude. It's sort of close. I didn't think either of them did a great job, but this one's going to go to Claude for now. So our last category is going to be on creative reasoning. So not just can AI do a task for us, but how well can it come up with a creative solution for a problem that we have? So this is more along the lines of AGI, right? Thinking outside of the box, having actual general intelligence, and let's see which one does a better job. So the example I'm going to use here is that I'm applying for an interview to have an HR manager job. So I'm applying to become an HR manager, and I want the AI to come up with a series of questions for us that will help us prepare for this job interview. So not a general job interview, a very specific job interview, and I need to be prepared for this. So it's sort of a creative, out-of-the-box way of thinking, and let's see how Claude does, and then let's see how ChatGPT does. All right, so Claude just finished up. Let's see what it came up with. So I basically said I'm applying to become an HR manager, and I have an upcoming interview, and I need to make sure I'm prepared for this interview. Please provide me a comprehensive list of questions so that I can use to be prepared for this job interview. So let's see what it came up with. Background and experience. Can you walk me through your HR experience? Which HR systems are you familiar with? How would you describe your management style? How do you motivate and develop your team members? So these are all pretty good. What strategies do you use to attract top talent? How would you handle employee grievances? So it gave us a total of 40 questions here. I think these are all pretty good. They're in line with HR. It's not formatted great, but I think it's a pretty good, comprehensive list of questions here to help me get prepared. Now, let's try the same thing in ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. So ChatGPT just finished. Let's see what it came up with. So it's giving us some general questions, HR-specific questions, some leadership and management questions, policy and procedure, situational behavioral, cultural and fit. I don't think that they gave us that in Claude, which I think is actually really great. some future and development questions, closing questions, scenario-based questions, skills and knowledge. So I can tell you as someone who's done a lot of interviews, I think this is a much better set of questions to help you get prepared for this type of interview. Claude did a decent job, but I think ChatGPT did a much better job handling this type of creative exercise. So I'm going to give this round to ChatGPT. I think that their creative reasoning is still on top here, and I think they are still the top AI chatbot for that category. So that wraps up our video here. It looks like ChatGPT is the winner here by a narrow margin. Again, if you're doing coding, I think Claude is the clear favorite right now. It definitely helps with that artifacts feature. I think that is a big, big deal, and it makes life so much easier so I don't have to take that code and put it somewhere else. For a lot of the other tasks, ChatGPT is still the winner, but again, coding is still a massive advantage for Claude right now. So if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. I would really, really appreciate it. It really helps us grow. Shoot me a comment below if you have any questions, if you have any other types of videos or styles of videos you'd like me to create. And if you're interested in learning how to make money online, check out my newsletter in the description below. I share ideas. If you sign up, it's 100% free. I send ideas once a week on ways that I make money online, ways that other people make money online. And it's just a great way to get ahead and figure out how you're going to get your career or your entrepreneurial journey started online.